Yo, what up, y'all? How y'all living?
It's good, brother.
What up? What up? What up?
Today with us, we have the pleasure of having Mr. Justin Wilson as a guest. We're gonna run the intro. We're gonna get right to it.
Play the intro. No.
You must be playing it 'cause I can't hear you.
Usually, when you play the intro, it's on the whole screen so we can see it. But
Yeah, I'm back. But you thought you lost me?
No,
huh?
actually, did you play the intro?
Yeah, we said playing the intro. The intro never came on.
Oh, I saw it. My bad. Y'all probably just was staring. I hope everybody else saw it. Um, cool. So today, Mr. Justin Wilson, and of course KG is with us as usual. So let's get right to it. So first thing, who is Justin Wilson and what's his connection to Game 7? So I'll get it started, Justin, and I'll let you
All right,
play up me. So
got you.
I've known Justin now 20 years, maybe something
Yeah,
longer than that.
probably a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. And my most vivid memories of us was when we used to ride our bikes to school together when we went to Memorial.
Yeah,
And I was thinking about that the other day. We did that without phones. Like we just had got phones with just as much work as it took to not have a cell phone for us to meet at ShopRite at the same time every day to go to
bro.
school.
I just got a phone in college.
You never got a phone to college?
No, I was just meeting y'all based on our schedule routine.
My man was gone out
Wow.
his body.
You didn't even have a phone in high school.
Nah,
Dang.
Wow. That's very unique, bro. I was one of them in Memorial playing Snake on the phone all the time. You feel me?
Prepaid phone on deck, of
I was
course.
trying to borrow somebody's phone.
And then I remember that you were always smiling. You always were smiling, yo. You
Yeah,
and another friend, I'm sure you know Chris, little Chris Lewis,
yeah,
always smiling. You guys smiled a lot. And you could jump extremely high. I remember that because we didn't have homeroom. Well, we did have homeroom, but we had homeroom in the gym.
yeah.
And before then, and ever since then, we've been friends. But through time, from a distance, I've really grew a lot of further respect for you. And this is all from the outside looking in. We're not the best of friends. We're not enemies, but we kind of been friends from a distance. Just
Right.
how life has taken us. But I've seen like you and your relationship, like just the fact, the duration of that, that's dope. All of your kids
Mhm.
taking care of them, your entrepreneurial ventures, and I see how you speak out for yourself in the community. So me and KG decided to reach out to you because we think that you have a lot to offer to not only everybody else, but to us. You feel me?
Thank you,
Um,
brother.
so yeah, you're welcome. So I'm gonna ask you. So what's your thoughts on that? How do we get here? Give us
How
some.
did we get here? I think first time I met Kendall was actually through you,
Okay.
It
um,
was.
in the backyard.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hooping, jumping on the
Yeah,
trampoline.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I always had mad respect for Malcolm because at that time, even at a young age, moved differently. You know what I mean? Even at a young age, was more disciplined, and even though we had having fun, the competition part of it was like, now you know how you always been. You know what I mean? Competitive and so on. And I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
So for me, having friends like you growing up was always something that pushed me or allowed me to stay separated as well. Even though I dangled here and there, but
Mm-hmm.
my mind never left in the wrong direction. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because of being around people like you,
Mm-hmm.
Kendall. This guy, he came up. I was like, oh my god.
I was just a big, young, goofy boy. Everybody. Then I just kept growing, my man. So, but I remember one thing that I always remember was your competitive nature on the court. You were a hooper, but you're not a tall guy.
Yeah,
And usually you see that in sports when people are undersized in any sport they play, they usually have a mentality about them that, they're still going to get the job done no matter what their size are. It was just all about your effort and your energy and your heart. So as a young boy, like I'm always the young dude in our group, like
Yeah.
in our circle. So just like you said, being around people who are competitive, um, but also really acknowledge the fact that I'm not moving the same way as everyone else. It was definitely it was definitely dope. I used to be intimidated to play against you on the court for real because you used to snatch ankles. I did
Mm-hmm.
not want to guard you, never. So I used to always just dip off. But then as I got older, I was like, man, I'm guarding every
Yeah,
single
right.
person. I don't care. But that's what it is.
Yeah, man.
Yep. So here we are after all this time. So as I look back, and tell me if it's too much, but how old were you when you had your first kid?
Ooh, pregnant at 16. I think I was 17 when she had it. But yeah,
Okay.
she had the first day of second day of senior year. She
Okay.
actually had the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely my whole plans on life kind of switched up.
Yeah. So tell us about that. Like how
So
I don't
at the
yeah, listen.
time, I was really focused on basketball. I was like, if I didn't make it in basketball, I didn't really have no plans after that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but after getting the experience, actually having a kid, and then going to college, and when I first went, I went out to Vermont. Had a great season, but at the same time, I was away, and then being my upbringing, I was like, there's no way that I could do that and feel right about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of spun my whole life.
Mm-hmm. But
But,
it seems like that made you instead of being something that broke you.
yeah, yeah.
You feel me? Now, was that because you said how you were raised? So you were raised like you really look up to your parents. You had a good relationship with your parents.
Nah, I mean, with my mother, I have a
Mm-hmm.
great relationship with my mother. And most people that know me know, if you used to see me at a game or whatever, whenever my mom was off of work, she would be there,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my relationship with my father after, a pretty young age was like non existent.
Mm-hmm.
So being that, I could see the effect that had on my life, I was never going to put it in nobody else's life.
Got
Not
you.
if I could affect it.
Got you. Got you. And that's I talked to one of my former students this morning. I was talking to him about his baby daughter, and he was like, "It's nothing like unconditional love." And
No,
I
it's
told him,
not.
I said, "But you gotta take that with a grain of salt, because unconditional love, the only condition is that you must continue to earn it. You feel me? So
Hmm.
don't. I told him, don't just think because that's your daughter, she always gonna love you. You feel
Right.
me? Now we all wish for that, but you gotta do the things you gotta do as a man so that she can continue to have that love for you.
Yeah,
Because if you're
absolutely.
not holding your part, she gonna find it elsewhere. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the dopest things. Like you done been through a lot of things, and it never really threw you off your grand scheme of things. It never threw you off of your long term goals.
Yeah.
Because I've seen students, we all know people. We'll just stick to the same thing that happened to you. They had a baby too early. It almost broke them. You feel me? I
Hmm.
had a baby too early, and I was 23. I wasn't 16. You feel me? So I can only imagine how that is, and that was a really adult decision of you to put your kid first before yourself, even if you had to make some sacrifices, you
Right.
know? Um, so moving on, something that I noticed about you, it always catches my eye, especially now. You are very, very adamant on sharing your points on social justice, police brutality, and all those kinds of things. And I was always very curious as to why uh, it was such a passionate issue for you, like
All right.
in terms of being higher than the norm. You
Yeah.
feel me? When I asked you to send me a couple of notes so we could prepare for the day, I saw that you had an experience. I said, "Oh, that makes perfect sense."
I actually had
So
a couple. I had a few of them.
tell me about one or two.
So the first one that I had, I think I was 13 years old, and that's when I had first moved out to Millbrook, and I actually started, hanging with the people from Millbrook. So I was walking home one day, I used to go to JFK every day after school. You know what I mean? Play basketball at JFK every day after school. So my brother was coming to pick me up. When my brother was coming to pick me up, two kids were fighting. So my brother's a couple years older than us. So after that, we're walking home. The cops come and they pull me, not pull us over, but stop us, park the car in front of us, like stop us from walking, and ask us what happened. So and out of everybody, he picked my brother, asked my brother. My brother told him, I just came to get my little brother. My mom sent me up here to get my little brother. I just got here and I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So cop doesn't let him go. Cop doesn't let him go for a while. So finally, my brother tries to run. You know what I mean? Because the cop kind of got him gripped up by like the shirt. So
Mm-hmm.
finally, my brother tried to run. It doesn't go. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But so the cop starts slamming him around a little bit. He's a big guy, probably about 6'6", 300 pounds. My brother, of course, he's like 15 years old at the time. So he starts slamming my brother around, throwing him around, and then he starts like slamming my brother's head into the car or whatever. My brother kind of like yelling like, I'm trying to do what you're asking me, but he like keep repeating the same thing, slamming my brother around, hitting him against the car. My brother starts yelling at me,
Mm-hmm.
like, don't leave me. You know what I mean? So, that goes on for a minute. And then it's another cop out there that's kind of like just sitting there making sure nobody, comes near the area or whatever. So after a while, like, the other cop, he's got his hand on his gun. So he's telling everybody, to go home. So everybody goes home. So now, like, it's just me and my brother. And then my brother's telling me, like, yo, Justin, don't leave me. Like, the cop got my brother on the ground or whatever. And he's like, Justin, don't leave me. So I'm trying to stay there. And then the other cop, he pretty much pulls his gun out and puts it in my face, like, leave, are you next?
Mm-hmm.
And so pretty much at that point, you know what I mean, I just ran home as fast as I could to get my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But that feeling, even as a 13-year-old, you know what I mean, has never left me. Like
Yeah.
that feeling of knowing what it feels like to have a gun, like it you know what I mean? It shook me up. It still
Mm-hmm.
shook me up to this day. To this day, it kind of shakes me up because I felt like even though I was a child, I didn't handle myself properly. Um, and because that's my brother at the end of the day, had I been older, had I been a grown man, my experiences with the cops aren't like that today, but it stems from that portion.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, uh, but this is after I was already on it. I was in college. I was getting ready to graduate college. Um, they were at this spot, and this guy from the basketball team used to hang out with the white folks. You know what I mean? I always did it. It was always this thing. So okay, cool. So he went to this place. It's called JD's. Pretty much when you go in JD's, they scan your ID and all this stuff. Mind you, it's not that many black people that come here, and you recognize somebody that you don't miss a basketball player, especially not somebody his size,
Yeah.
coming into a place like that. So goes in, comes back out. At the time he's coming back out, the shuttle bus is coming. So, I can pretty much see everything that goes on. He's not coming out, he's going to the smoker section. At the time he's hanging out with the baseball team. I'm on the basketball team. So we pretty much all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the smoker section is cut off from the door. You got your entry over here, and then you got the smoker section where everybody can go so they don't have to keep going back and forth to the door. So when he's trying to go back into the restaurant, they pretty much let all the white people in and told him, like, give me your ID. So pretty much he's like, you know me, you see me in here. I just came through here. Why are you asking only me for my ID and not everybody else? So the guy pretty much, doesn't answer, just calls cops over. It's cops that patrol it. You got your township cops, school cops, all that patrol it. Just calls the cop over. Pretty much the boy goes back and forth like, you got to discriminate against me. I'm not showing you nothing. So after that, the cops come in here and he's getting into a little scuffle. And you can tell that he's not really familiar with being in that type of situation because he's getting emotional. He's starting to cry and all this, you know what I mean? So I start recording. Like, so the first thing I do, I just start recording because I'm like, this is like during a time where, cell phones, cameras is all getting big. So I start recording. I'm getting everything while I'm recording. Cops is like really roughing them up. They got like 5 cops on this kid. So it gets a little hectic out there. I told you he is with the baseball team. The baseball team come out and they start saying, fuck y'all, fuck y'all, fuck the police, blah, blah, blah. So they going crazy, right? But so the one cop sees me recording And he tells the other cop, like, get that camera down. So he comes over to me, blah, 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 knocks me on the ground or whatever. So I get up. I see a cop. He's like, yo, just stay down. You know how these white boys are. And this is another cop telling me this. So he's like, you know how these white boys are. So he's like, I'll introduce you to the chief when they get here, and you can just get the information. So once Chief got there, I got the information, but I got her information. She wouldn't give me any of the townships out there. I was out there. There's 5 townships out there. So she was like, just sit down and wait. So I waited for an hour and a half. Like, you told me just sit down and wait. I'm going to sit there and wait. So I waited for an hour and a half. Mind you, situation is not getting any better within this hour and a half. Shuttle buses are coming to take people back. They're late. Nobody knows what's going on, but instead of getting like less and less people over this time, it's getting more and more people. So, but at this time, nobody's happy. They see everything that's going on, so it's going down. So now it's like a bunch. Like, it's not like 1 or 2 or 12 people saying, fuck, it's like 50 to 100. But long story short, they try to charge that boy with aggravated assault. Cops running around chasing people or whatever. They knock over some girl. And then they try to charge another black kid with her charge or whatever. But I got all this on camera or whatever. But at the end of the night, the cop that sees me recording or whatever, they like arrest him too. So they come and they arrest me or whatever. And then in the charges, when I see the charges, I'm like, I got stuff on camera that I seen y'all do that y'all trying to place charges on this boy for. Because they had this one big old fat cop had knocked down this white girl and she broke her leg. So I'm like, I got it on camera, you running that girl over, but you trying to charge this guy that was sitting on the side talking shit. You know what I mean? Because you guys were obviously doing wrong. So anyway, cops burnt my phone. Didn't give me no phone calls, no nothing. So the next day when I had got out of jail, I was in there probably like 30 hours or whatever. But the next day when I had got out of jail, I just went right over to Apple. And I got the report from Apple. And the reason why the whole case got pretty much thrown out for everybody is because that report from Apple, where they said, I had the time I got out of jail, and then the report from Apple that it said they electrocuted my phone, and it's similar to what it would be if a phone was tased. So basically, like, because I had that evidence or whatever, they couldn't really put charges on anybody, because then they have to come out and say, everything that they did. So that was that. But that stopped me from getting, job after job after job, because even though it was dismissed, the arrest record was there. And that's pretty much how that went.
All right. I get it. I get it now. So to game 7 it, you're like an even better guest than I thought. Because how old were you when that happened to you?
I was 22, maybe 23. I just turned 23.
Okay. So you were
No, you know
22.
what? It was right before my 23rd birthday. That's what it was.
So 22, almost 23.
Yep.
Okay. So 22, um, raised by a single mother, teenage parent, with an arrest record. That's you had every reason to not be successful.
Yeah.
You had everything to blame on. You've been a victim of things when you didn't do nothing wrong. You've been a victim. You made some immature mistakes. All different kind of things that put you to where you were. All right.
Right.
So I'm gonna take a step back. Just like you, I've been in a very, very similar situation. Not very, I'll just say very similar to where when I was 19, um, I got illegally searched my car, right? This was in college, right? Had some things I shouldn't have had, it was college time and I got locked up. But while they were going through my car and going through all of the process and stuff, right? I just stood there. They let them cuff me. I knew I was just gonna go because I knew that what they did was wrong. You feel me? And I ended up going to court. I even represented myself. Boom. I
Mm-hmm.
got beat. Everything got dropped. You feel me? So uh what I noticed, like, little lessons is like how you handle yourself during those moments is very, very important
Yeah.
because some things are wrong, are very, very wrong, and we're going to be faced with those until one day those things change, right?
Right.
That's something we're working on at game 7. We got a very close friend who was a New Jersey cop. and we're trying to do a program to where he can come in and teach you how to deal with the police, even when they're doing dirty stuff. You feel me?
Right.
Now, some people were just simply executed. That's just wrong. You feel me? And that can't be fought. But we just want to try to equip people with some tools so that they can get out of those situations. And we're talking to proof today that even if you are illegally labeled with that kind of tag as a being arrested or a felon or XYZ, it's not over for you. You
Right.
feel me? You got so much time left in your life, you know. So I just want to commend you for you taking your mess of a life and turning it into a message. You taking your pain and turning it into champagne. That's gonna be perfect to Wilson J Productions. You feel me? We're gonna get there in a couple minutes. So you told us about some of your experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Experience is part of your thought process. It
Right.
goes thought, choice, behavior, experience, emotion. Thought, choice, behavior, experience, emotion. So your experience led to certain kind of emotions. By being a teen father, you had those different kind of emotions as a freshman that a lot of other freshmen didn't have. So you started thinking, should I go back home? Do I want to be this kind of father? Do I want to be that kind of father? So you made the choice to go back home. Then your behavior is, I'm gonna take care of my kids no matter what, even if I gotta leave school, XYZ. You feel me?
Right.
Sure, that's a big feeder into your future thoughts of how I have to figure it out whether I got this arrest record or not, because XYZ people are dependent on me. I never even asked you why, but just seeing you as Mr. Justin, the family man, like I already know what you why. Like I know your family drives you and it's always driven you. Because like I said, you have more or less every reason since 16 to not make it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I just would like to commend you on that. KG, I got you on mute because your mic was tripping, but I'm gonna take you off to see if you want to share something.
I don't think that was my mic, to be honest. Because I was still hearing the static and stuff as well. But now, I definitely commend you on that, for real, because those incidents are real. Um,
Yeah.
I was in me and Malcolm. We had an incident like that as well. Being young bulls, it was me, him, and Marquise, and we were going to go chill with some girls. Like, being young boys, we had to be like what, like 19, 18, 19, if
18.
that. And we just pull up, and next thing we just get ran down on. Like ran down on. We like, oh, like, yo, this is crazy. Like they just straight run down on us. Um, that was like one of my first encounters, and I just remember just getting talked to like I was like I was nothing, like ill. And it's
Yeah.
like, yo, like what's up? Like you don't even know, you don't even ask, know what we doing. You just jumping right in, and then it's just sickening because that joint is traumatizing. Like I said it last week. Like when we were on the other podcast episode, like every time I see a police car, man, I get starched. Like when I'm driving, it's sickening. But not to just talk same amount of information Malcolm said, but that you had incidents and a child at an early age, and I respect your hustle, man. Like and like you said, it's always been with a smile on your face. So I'm curious to kind of hear some more about you know your reasoning and just your effort, I guess.
All right. So moving on. So from the time that you had to deal with the illegal arrest to you starting, was your production company, your event planning and all that, was that your
Yeah.
entrepreneurial venture?
Pretty much. Like, I sold knives.
Cutco.
The
Cutco.
cut code.
So did I.
Hey, we was
Cutco.
talking about that last week when we
Yeah.
They
All right.
definitely got me.
So tell us how you got there, because clearly you was applying for jobs and you wasn't getting them, and then you ended
Yeah.
up with your own business. So how did that happen?
So, which one? Wilson J Productions or Cutco?
Nah, we ain't talking about no Cutco.
All right.
You. We talking about you.
So, I've always been real. real in with the black community, and then especially going to that college. When I actually went to that college, you know, it's a mostly white college. They advertise a bunch of black people. When you get there, it's like, where they at?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much what had happened was they shut down black events. They like completely shut down black events at the school. And we were kind of going back and forth with the school doing all comparisons. You know, they were saying it was more fights at black events. We were doing comparisons. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't true, right? But, you know, we know how the society works. So I had got with my boy, you know, he was on the same time I'm on. And we got together with a couple of locals and we're like, you know, let's actually find a spot because the market's out there. You know, everybody wants to party, but now, you know, they got it cut off. And none of these regular places out here, you know, have the music that we want to listen to, have the DJs we want to listen to. So we went to a pub that was struggling and we just offered to rent it out. You know, like, let me rent this spot out. I'll give you all a certain amount of money. I think at the time I was only had to pay them like $800. So between us four, it's $200 a piece. Got some flyers made for another $200. So it's like $1,000 investment between the whole thing. And you know, when you look at it, you got a college crowd. So even if not that many people want to come out, I know we can at least get 300. You know, that's what I'm thinking in my head. We can at least get 300. So then that's how I became the promoter in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then from college, it was right over by Atlantic City. Went over to Atlantic City for a little bit. One of my boys that had graduated before I did, he started promoting like in the casinos. So, you know, he brought me on to that, but it was never, it was a horribly dirty game. The casinos, you know, they don't play about their money. They will steal money from you and then say they never owed it to you. So there, and it was nothing you could do about it. You know what I mean? You could bring them 1,000 people and they'll tell you, you know what I mean, based on your contract, such and such, your bar had to hit 15,000. Well, can I see the bar numbers? No, you can't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's just nothing you can do because at the end of the day, who are they going to go get? The cops from outside, and you still the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it really, when I graduated, I was a year after graduation. Love and Hip Hop was popping at that time, and I'm thinking like, who can we get? Who can we afford? And then Kaylin Garcia had came up, and then it was this big spot in Pensacola. Remember, was like the Woodbine, and then it was Savoy,
Okay.
big old spot nobody was using.
Mm-hmm.
So I had heard a couple bad things about it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. You know what I mean? So I went up there and I talked to the owner. First thing I did, because I came from Atlantic City, is I worked out. I want to rent a spot. Like, I don't want to work for you. I want to rent the spot out. And then because I know how much money the bar makes, I want a piece of your bar too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's like, all right, you know, that's all good and well. At the end of the day, of course, you know, he backed up on it a little bit and stole some money. But it was the first time, like, I realized I didn't even have the money either. I had not had the money. I couldn't get no job. Definitely didn't have the money. I had called my brother. Called my brother up and was like, yo, he was in the military at the time. Yo, can I borrow some money? Um, I get it right back to you. You know, I had one of my parties. He knew how my parties went. I'm gonna get the money right back to you. Like, I'm trying to get it on a different scale. But that was the first time I had never experienced such expenses before that it would cost to rent out a big spot like that, and then it would cost to do promotion to different cities instead of just a college.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the end of the day, I was only charging $10 and $15, which was another huge mistake. But at the end of the day, that party went extremely well as far as the vibe. The vibe was amazing, and I lost. I think I lost. Ended up losing like $3,000. Um, and at the end of the day, I still owe my brother like $1,500. But so I ended up losing. But that set the scene for the first big all white.
Mm-hmm.
And the first big all white, nobody wanted to do it. They was like, it's Memorial Day, everybody's going out of town. I'm like, bro, just trust me. You know what I mean? At this time, I was doing Wake Up Now, right? So I did Wake Up Now, made a bunch of money real quick.
Oh, there you go.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you got blanked out real quick. You back though. I hear you.
Hold on, I think my sound is. Can y'all hear me?
I hear you.
I can't hear nothing.
You can hear nothing?
Let's see if I can see.
Try to log out, see if you can log back in.
Now talk real quick.
Yo, you
Yeah, I
hear me?
can't hear it. My audio went out.
See, that's the same thing that happened to me right before we got on this. It just
Still
randomly
out.
cut out.
What's doing that? Anytime log out, log back in.
Say something out.
You hear me? No?
I don't know why my audio went out.
Hey,
Yeah,
middle
that's
part.
crazy. The same thing happened to me earlier.
All right.
I just texted him, told him to sign out, sign back in.
Word. Yeah, it's crazy because like before he comes back, I didn't, know a lot of his journey. Obviously, that's not one of my best friends. It was
Mm-hmm.
like we've been, like you said, we're friends from afar, and I didn't even know, it was such
All right,
detail
I
of,
can hear it again.
what happened. So I'm curious to hear. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
You bike?
Yep.
All right, cool.
We get,
You remember what you were saying?
Yeah, about the first all white.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, the losing of the first event, right? The losing money, and then obviously my brother ain't not happy with me at all. You know what I mean? But the losing of that, putting so much work into it, because I worked on that party for months, and then actually coming out with a loss. But to me, like, even though I seen the loss, obviously, I'm supposed to be bringing money in, I'm losing money. It was hard, but at the same time, I seen like, oh no, this can really be it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first all white came. Nobody wanted to do it or whatever, especially it was on Memorial Day. They're like, nah, everybody goes to Philly, everybody goes to Atlantic City. I'm like, nah, like I know us. You know what I mean? If we don't have to travel, if we got a big event, why would we?
Mm-hmm.
So the first all white came, and it's probably still right now the biggest party that's hit South Jersey since. And it was literally just off having the idea to all white. And what I did was, instead of having everybody separate, everybody that was doing something in the area at the time, I made them a flyer. So they promoted themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So like even like regular people made them a flyer.
mm-hmm.
If you want to do your music at the time, you got a flyer for you. You know what I mean? You just want to be popular, you got a flyer. I'm hitting people in Atlantic City. I'm like, you know what I mean? You guys coming down?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilt tripping them. I've been down there working for y'all all this time. Like y'all can't come down, so I had them start promoting for me for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the end of the day, it ended up getting like 1,500 people like throughout the whole night in and out. The guy's bar did like 50,000.
Mm.
But the door it was the biggest check I've ever seen. Like we got beat for a lot of money because the security was letting people in, which is also it's just a learning experience because security sees so much people they know you can't keep an eye on them, whatever. But end of the day, we have
Of course.
videos just security letting hundreds of people, like literally, like not one or two, like hundreds. But still end up coming up like 20 bands.
Mm.
So at the time, I had two partners or whatever. So I got like 85. I had the biggest percentage, and then they split up like 11, something like that. But it was like eye opener. Like, oh, like this could be better than I thought. I was expecting a couple thousand. I wasn't expecting nothing like this. But that went off, and we did it a couple more times, and it expanded out to Philly. It was hard staying open in New Jersey because every time we got a spot, they kicked us out. Like other people started going in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can't do no more black events.
Yeah.
When Vera needed help, they called me. I got Vera popping again. After that, they told me Cherry Hill Police doesn't want us outletting our events. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? That you use this to get all these people back in your spot, and all of a sudden it's Cherry Hill Police for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we went over to Philly. That went well for a long time, and then that guy, he ended up getting in some trouble himself. Like I don't even want to get. It's still an open case going on with him right now, so I don't even want to get into it. But um, from there we did the African American Arts Museum. That was a big one for us. The Battleship in New Jersey, and then the last one, we tried to do Marion. We had a little trouble there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but that was it. And then I decided to put it down.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to put it down because to me, the more we did it and the more success that happened, it was like for me, I wanted to actually get paid my worth. The more people that start coming on top and trying to tell me what I do and don't have to do. I know these numbers. Like I've been doing this for years. I know these numbers in and out. Like when you're lying to me about what the numbers are and how much something costs and all that, for me, it's like, okay, I can find something else because I'm gonna come back around and I'm gonna buy my club and put it next to yours. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I'm coming at it right now.
Yeah, got you, got you. All right, this story get doper and doper, bro.
That's what
Because
we were saying when you logged off. I was like, yo, I didn't even know about this. I don't even need to talk today. I'm just listening. That's all good with me.
as we should, but
Yeah.
just a couple of things that I picked up from your story. You said a lot of, and then we did this, 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 right? You took a lot of L's, but you never
Hmm.
was like a loss. Your L's were definitely lessons. You feel me? When you
Yeah.
take it as a loss, it's the woe is me, and you stuck in what you dealing with. Plus, you holding yourself down. You
Right.
feel me? As opposed to you taking it as a lesson means I get to do it again, and I have a better chance because I now know more of what's going to happen. You
Right.
feel me? I don't gotta know 100% going in. I might only know 10. Then I make it all the way to 30. Then I know I messed up at 26. So now instead of starting off at zero, you start off at 26. And
Exactly.
eventually the percentage of your progress towards your goal, you're going to get closer towards 100. But if you're doing it the right way, you'll never hit 100 because as you learn more, you know you can do more so that 100 cap will continue to go up. You
Right.
know?
Absolutely.
And then you talked about some things that you saw that other people didn't see. You feel me? Like, they say geniuses hit a target that nobody else can see. You feel me? It's like sometimes Steph Curry just turn around and shoot it from half court. Like, what are you doing? Boom, water. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now he takes shots from the tunnel, and like we expect him to make it. Like before him, nobody else, no Reggie Miller,
Nobody.
Allen, nobody. That was crazy. But it took him to see that, yo, I got this kind of gift. I can do this. You feel me?
Right.
To get into that system to where people let him do it. So I think that's a big thing for us to understand. And I commented this on social media the other day on one of your posts. I said, stop looking at the right side of the menu. So
Yeah.
look at the right side because all of the food is on the left side. You feel me? So people look at a menu. Oh, filet mignon. I want that. How much it costs? $80. Oh, can't get that. Yo, find a way to get that $80. Yo,
It's
you might
funny.
not have it today.
I was
Go ahead.
wondering. I was wondering how much people saw your comment and it just went right over their head.
Because it's something we're big on saying talking about is paradigm. You feel me? You know
Yeah.
what paradigm is?
Nope.
Okay, so
You got.
paradigm is your standard way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the way that I always say it is when you get your iPhone. I got an iPhone 10, I think. I got it a couple years ago, right? Um, and when I first got it, I got all my apps and everything. It was running cool. But then a couple months later, my phone, I don't know if y'all remember a couple years back, iPhone kept tripping, like
Yep.
freezing and crashing, right? And they came out with an update so that it could stop freezing and crashing. So I couldn't get the update at first. Like it would say update is scheduled for tonight, XYZ. Then I would wake up and then it didn't do it. So I rescheduled for tonight. Then eventually I noticed I couldn't get the update because I didn't have enough space. So I had to delete some old things to upgrade my software.
Right.
So upgrading your software, that's your new paradigm, right? So there's something in your brain called your reticular activating system. So say hypothetically, all three of us tomorrow, we get a black 2020 Honda Civic or something. You feel me? A car that we don't normally see, right? But once we get it, we're gonna start seeing it more.
all over the place.
That's because now since you have it, your brain has now made it important. Like when you look around your house, there's thousands of stimuli, like so many different things you can look at. But your brain chooses to look at certain different things. You feel me? So as you
Yeah,
upgrade your software, your way of thinking, you will start to look at things differently and see things that nobody else can see.
yeah,
Me. Like a lot of people would have quit. Like, dang, I lost 3,000, and my brother mad because he made 1,500. Your perspective drives your performance. You didn't. You was like, yo, all them people there. Next time
yeah,
I can make this. You feel me? Like, bro, I know you mad, but look at all this XYZ. I'm looking on the film. They let people come in there. You was finding every reason to continue to go forward.
yeah,
You and that amount of 3,000, like no disrespect to nobody, but for a lot of people, that's a lot of money. You feel me? You take a step back now, you realize money is unlimited. It's just digits on the screen. You feel
right,
me? I can make that back. And you continue to go through that process, and then you were fed back with results that were way bigger than you thought. Your
yeah,
biggest check. And that wasn't even really your biggest check because all of those people got in for free. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you didn't dwell on that fact, like, oh, I know I got XYZ, but I could have got ABC if they would have charged all them people. You
right.
feel me? Nah, another learning experience. I'm gonna get my own security team, whatever. Oh, y'all hating now. I'm gonna drop this. I'm gonna get my bread up. I'm gonna come back with the club. You feel me? And I'm gonna have a
Absolutely.
contract with the Fed for my own security and all that. You ain't gonna say nothing to it. Just be mad. You feel me? So once again, I would commend you for turning your pain into champagne. You feel me? So if you want to trademark that, sell
I
it on.
like that saying.
Every time he say it, he hit that giggle.
Yeah.
I like that.
Another thing you said too, yo, that was big. You got to know your worth.
Yeah,
You got to know your worth. I think a lot of people undervalue their worth. You feel me? Primarily because it's something that they've yet to prove, but they don't realize that people really making moves in the world, they see potential.
right.
They
Mm-hmm.
they hire for character, not for skill. They don't care about what you did. They care
Yeah,
about
that's
what
a
you.
fact.
They're gonna rap with you. They're gonna talk. They're gonna make sure that they got the right person. But it's limitless, right? And you was willing to quit, and that was something I did last year when we really got Game 7 rolling. And I was noticed y'all gotta take a lot of days off to go to other schools and not work at my own school. I was
Right,
like, this is really my calling. I'm so much better at teaching life than I am about teaching math. And even if I'm not, that's not what my audience tells me.
right.
So at the point, I was really talking to my girl, like, yo, I gotta do this. And then one day, I was outside of Wegmans, just went shopping. I got my principal on the phone. I was like, yo, if you don't support my mission, I'm quitting. I just said it straight like that. And he was like, you gonna quit? I was like, yeah, like, cause it's just things I gotta do. And I'm not. I learned that a person adds value by by working on themselves more than they work on their job. You
Yeah.
feel me? And I gotta do this. I was like, if you can't cool with this, I'm gonna have to leave and go somewhere that I figured out. He was like, no, you better not leave. Like that's why I bought you here. So that was like reassurance.
Mm,
Willing to just drop it all so I can do what I do because I knew I was worth so much more than the classroom. You feel me?
right,
I'm not trying to dominate my classroom, bro. Just in the past year, we done been in 5, 6 different school districts. You feel
right.
me? All because I was willing to quit because I knew my worth. But I also want people to understand we put the work in to be able to have that feeling. You feel me?
Definitely.
Don't think just because I got an LLC and I did this now I'm worth XYZ. You may have the potential to be worth that, but
Right.
you still got to. You feel me? Um, so after that, at least in the timeline, you moved on to Wilson J Logistics, right? So you
Right.
bought trucks and now you're doing delivery services across the nation, across the state. How's that going?
It's pretty much freight. So what happened was, and this is another story, right? So I was living in New Jersey. I was living in Atlanta. TT wanted to come back. My wife wanted to come back, so we ended up going back to New Jersey. I was going back to New Jersey. I actually started working like a regular job for the first time. I was working at Freedom Mortgage. So I was there selling loans or whatever. It was like it was going by a while, but I was throwing my parties, and honestly, I was always more focused on my outside than I was on my inside. So the mortgage industry was crashing. They had let go like a couple buildings or whatever, but eventually I got hit too. So, but it was like just so happened that right before that, J.P. Morgan had called me, and once J.P. Morgan called me, the job was back in Atlanta. So while like So after that happened, I was flying like back and forth to Atlanta. I even drove out here um, to Atlanta to go to these interviews. So I'm going back and forth between Jersey and Atlanta, whatever. And interview process is long. So eventually I get the job or whatever. It's a real good job. So on my starting day, they don't have my background clear yet. So I'm like, you killing me, right? Like, you don't got my background cleared. So long story short, they keep going back and forth. Like, we'll have it tomorrow. We'll have it tomorrow. So end of the day, they got me going back and forth, whatever, and give me a starting date, tell me move out, get all my stuff. So that's what I did. I grabbed all my stuff, and my mom was living out here at the time, so I just, bought it all to my mom's house. Mind you, I don't have no income back in New Jersey now. So it just so happened that kind of all worked out, which is kind of crazy because it just so happened that December, we had the New Year's event, and then we had another event in December. So December ended up being like a real good month for me. So it was kind of giving me that ability to actually be able to move around. So, but this is like right before it though. So right before JP Morgan, whatever. So I'm going to JP Morgan. You got the job. We love you. Blah blah blah. Lady calling me on the phone like, we selected you out 300 people. But when it comes down to it, my background's not clear, right? So I'm what's going on with my background? They tell me week after I was supposed to start, after they're calling me every day and telling me, you know what I mean, we're going to get cleared, that I can take another job and take the job I got in 2 years because of the arrest in 2012.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm not coming out here to take, your average bank job or whatever it is like that. You know what I mean? Like, you interview for this process, you had me move all the way to Atlanta. You know what I mean? To tell me that now I can't do this job for another 2 years. And I looked at the law that goes around it or whatever, because it is a law, but it's a law for a conviction. Like, my case clearly got dismissed. It had nothing to do with the financial industry or nothing like that. End of the day, they don't want to hear it. So I'm like, all right, screw y'all. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. So I called my boy up because I know I was driving for him a little bit before, so I called him up. I'm like, yo, bro, you still got the loads available? So he's like, yeah. And now this funny thing is, because I was at Cato had been out here at the time, so I was up at the at Cato's video shoot, and he happened to come to Cato's video shoot. So it's just funny how everything ended up working out like that. So he's like, yeah. So I got on the road, and I noticed like I'm making just as much money on the road as I was doing events. And I'm like, but I don't gotta wait months in between time for this. Like, I can just do this. So I just started doing that, and it was like at the time it was like this like September, November. So I was staying out here, and then Teresa was pregnant at the time, so she's like, we were planning on having her come out after we had the baby, so she'd like come back. So I told my boy, I'm like, listen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home and get my CDL. And I'll get my CDL, and then instead of me driving this box truck for you, I'll go get a 53. So I went home, went to CDL school. While I was in CDL school, that's when I was throwing the events. So just so, like I said, it just so happened that the events just happened to be big enough. Came back to Atlanta. Teresa had a baby, came back to Atlanta. Actually got the spot we in right now. And then my boy, like, he going MIA. So I'm like, not again, man. So he's going MIA or whatever, and I find out that another driver that was driving for him basically ruined the load. You know what I mean? And when you ruin a load in trucking, especially the way that we were doing it, because it's not totally like it's legal, but it's frowned upon. You know what I mean? Because everybody in doesn't have their own insurance. You might bring your own truck, but you don't have your insurance to match with it. At the end of the day, the load, it was on his father's load, but it wasn't insured. So his father ended up having to come out of pocket for that load. Loads could be crazy, like 12 grand, like for a little bit of water, a little bit of rain. Mm-hmm. So, but I didn't find out until after. I thought he was just ducking me. So I'm like, you know what? I can do this myself. Mm-hmm. So that's when I had went, Teresa started working out here. And I think at the time we had like just barely enough money to do it. Right around tax time, just barely enough money to do it. You know what I mean? So we just went through this like 4 month period where money was just up and down. And then we moved twice actually. So we moved out of the Avery zone, Willingboro, moved back to Willingboro, and then out to Atlanta. So we moved twice within a couple months. So money was like tight. And then it's like we just had enough. So I'm telling her, like, showing her the money I was making. So I'm like, listen, we can do this ourselves. When he was paying me out, I was breaking down the percentages of the lows. Like, this is how much more I could be making, if I owned it. So, we ended up just going that route and getting that. It was definitely rough first starting out because I don't ever want anybody to think like, it was peaches and cream because it wasn't. It was super rough starting out. I didn't know nothing about the trucking industry. I just had the idea and just went and did it. But the truck, mad issues with the truck at first. So it's like the first 4 months, I'm like barely breaking even. Like making a little bit. I'm not gonna say barely breaking even because I was making a little bit because I was doing the same thing that the other company was doing when they was renting trucks and then going out. I was doing that same thing, except I did it for myself. And I was like, at the end of the day, you know, I can drive, so nothing's gonna happen, right? But I mean, bad way to handle things. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not going to sit here. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here. I'll be extra careful. I'll do what I got to do. And from there, it kind of sprung out to what it is now. Actually, at a certain point before COVID-19 hit, it was a lot more. But even right now, it's to the point where I got 2 people working for me right now, people from home. So that's really important for me too. People from home working for me. So I try to make sure, I keep good money in their pocket because I actually know what it's like to be on the road and then to live that life. And, to me, it's not great. Some people love it. My boy Corey, he loves being on the road. You know what I mean? But for me, it was definitely something where the entire time I'm driving, I'm thinking like, I'm finding out how much each truck can make. How much each truck can make. What do I have to lose if I have somebody else doing it for me? And then what do I need to make back in order to make this a livable income, a decent livable income? So that was like my thing on the road. And then so I started dispatching. Once I started dispatching, I knew because I had already been selling mortgages. Like I knew how to negotiate. So I knew coming in, like I could see the numbers from the other side. So once I started dispatching, people offer me certain numbers, and I'm like, I want 200 more. You know what I mean? Some of them I want 400 more because I know where these loads are moving from. I know you need this load moved, and depending on what supply it is, I know you got extra money in it. Because for me, like when I was in trucking school, I was talking to this guy, and he was telling me about his boy who was a broker and a dispatcher. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do all three. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. In August, I'm gonna put out my brokerage and my dispatching company to go along with it. Okay. But now that's where we are. I'm kind of happy about where we are now. It's got a little bit more steady. Been through a couple drivers, discovered it wasn't for them, and I completely respect it. I kind of discovered it wasn't for them too. So sometimes, I like when people quit rather than me have to fire them. So that's always, that's always a good thing. But so it's definitely all right where it is now. But the trucking was my hardest business to learn because I was so fresh and brand new to it. And it was way, way more intense than people try to make it seem from the outside.
Yeah, so that definitely resonated with me when you said I didn't know anything about what I was going into it, and I think a lot of people don't realize a lot of small business owners or entrepreneurs are uh, it's scary when you're going to a field because you don't know it yet. But a lot of the process is learning on the way. For example, we have a Game 7 group chat, and we every day we like, yo, what is this? Like, what is this version of that we have to get? And we like, yo, we have no idea. We know what type of service that we can provide, right? But along the way, now we have to figure out all the little
Right.
He
just
froze too.
be able to go and with other business. So I'm not so when you said it like that, I know I'm not I don't want to speak for Malcolm, but I know for sure that's like a process that we're going through right now, with trying to maximize the organizations and the people that we can work with,
Right.
just trying to file for all these different certificates and certifications and things like that. So is that and I'm not even the one that's doing, like, what I'm saying, I'm not even the one that's doing it. So I know for sure, it's definitely because you like, yo, I gotta Google this, like I don't know this, but we're going out and searching for that knowledge because we understand that this is what we want to do. So we
Right.
know that if this is what we want to do, this is what comes with it. We may not know this field, but we have to do our research so we can then propel in our field, right? Because if we don't know how to do any of that, how are we going to be good businessmen at the end of the day? You can
That's
have
right.
this grand scheme of plan and wanting to do all this work, but if you don't understand how to do business, then it's kind of a waste.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a fact.
Yeah. So something you made me think of as you were talking, Justin. Me and you are really, really big Kobe fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're really big Kobe fans. And social media wise, we've gotten tons of debates of Kobe versus other people. You
Yeah.
feel me? And like Kendall pointed out at the beginning of tonight, he talked about your mentality on the court. He always talked about me on the court, like you're always trying to fight somebody and overly competitive. But I think that not I think I know that bleeds into our life. You feel
Absolutely.
me? Like the same way everything goes wrong sometimes, you gotta keep going. You feel me? What why I really appreciated Kobe, he didn't care who was on the other side. You
Not at
feel me?
all.
Because he competed versus himself harder than anybody else could compete versus him. You feel me? The best stories about Kobe are almost always never about their game. It's about something that wasn't during game time that he did to get ready for the game. Whether that
Right.
was off season, not there was a story about when AI first played first Kobe. They went out to the club like the night before or something. They went to dinner actually. They went to dinner, and then they went back to get changed or whatever. And then AI was like, "Yo, you coming to the club?" Kobe was like, "Nah, I'm about to go watch some film and get ready for
What
the
you talking
game."
about?
And the AI tells that story a lot. Like, yo, a lot of people say that about Kobe. Like, he'll go to dinner, but anything after that, he done. He going to watch film, and he lives by getting prepared for the opportunities that are going to come later. It
Yeah.
don't matter. It don't matter who showed up. You feel me? And one story that really sticks out to me about Kobe is when he tore his Achilles. When dudes tear their Achilles, or people, excuse me, people
It's
tear their,
over.
they going down. They screaming just like a baby. My man was like, "Don't touch me." Got up, walked all the way down the court, hit the free throws, then took himself out. You feel me? Like that's just that mentality. I gotta start what I finish. You feel me? So a lot of things that have happened to you and have happened to us haven't been our fault. You feel me? But with that Mamba mentality, you'll make it your responsibility.
Right.
You feel me? Like I talked about how a couple years back, RG3 had a game, and he played all right, but they lost. And in the press conference, he went up to the podium and was like, "Yo, if my lineman would have blocked better, we would have won. If my receivers would have caught the ball better, we would have won. If the DBs would have made some tackles, we would have won." Right? So kind of gave everybody
Setting yourself up.
you feel me? But then on the contrary, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady had the best passing game ever for a Super Bowl championship game. And after the game at the press conference, he said, "I should have made some more plays." You feel me? Like he didn't win. Like his whole mentality was like, "I should have had the record plus 20 more yards." You feel me? Like
Right. Right.
you know, but just that mentality. So it may not be your fault, but as a leader, as a trailblazer, it's your responsibility. You
Yeah.
feel me?
Absolutely. All the time.
Yes, for those who are listening or who will listen, you gotta remember, like, it's always on you to take ownership. It don't matter what happened to you, like that's what happened. There's always something you can do. Now you may have to lean on other people, which you've also said you've done numerous times,
Right.
but it took you to create the plan, to call that person, and to kind of not use them, but you brought them value. You feel me? Like, yo, I need you, but here's what I can do. You
Right.
feel me? Here's what I see, and you always found a way to go forward. You know. So once again, I would commend you for that. But those who are watching or who will watch, that kind of mentality is very, very important. All right. So last topic, and I'm very curious to see what you got to say on this one. So since the quarantine has started, something that we've done in our group of friends collectively, because three of us were kind of on it, but not like they are now, but not as a group. We all started learning about the stock market. You feel me? And even in just what is it, the 90 days or so, collectively, we probably seen a good 40,000 profit. You feel me? Between it's about 10 of us, 9 of us or something. Brand new.
Yeah.
We never did it before. You feel me? And like we just now kind of catching the wave. You know.
Right.
And I've been saw you on the exchange trading and all that, but I wasn't there yet. You feel me? I wasn't ready to receive that information. But I see like that's something that can and will be life changing for us. Now I started Forex learning about it, but I stopped because since I'm new to the stock market, I noticed Forex is kind of different. You
Right.
feel me?
Right. It's definitely
Market
different.
24/7. I know about the pips and all that. I didn't want to confuse myself because I'm just figuring out what I'm gonna do with the stock market. But I'm gonna definitely get to Forex in addition later.
Yeah.
Um, so how'd you end up in Forex and how is that treating you?
So I ended up in Forex a long time ago when Wake Up Now had first went down. So
Okay.
when Wake Up Now first went down, everybody was looking for something. That's when actually when I was introduced to Bitcoin and I was introduced to binary trading, and then a short while after Forex. I missed the boat. I ain't gonna lie, I missed the boat. I got introduced to Bitcoin when it was $16 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because in that world of entrepreneurs and network marketing, they kind of bring everything to your attention. You know what I mean? People come up to you, tell you about it, carrot bars, Bitcoin, everything going on. And at the time, even though I was in the industry, I was still skeptical. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, there ain't no way. This you telling me this is going to be worth some. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So I learned my lesson. But anyway, so the years went by. So I knew about it. I actually had a couple friends that never quit the industry. You know what I mean? That stuck to trading, stuck to network marketing, and they're millionaires right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was always something that I let go when I did have my team. I really enjoyed that. For me, it was like something similar to the promotion, except I could actually keep people around. I could actually help people make money. And, for me, that's like a huge thing where I can actually help other people make money. Not only like keep them around, but then I can know, because I know how important money is in the household, that I can help another, black man take care of his family at the end of the day. So that's why Forex has become so important to me, because you can start with almost nothing
Mm-hmm.
and, you can come up. For instance, some boy, I got to join my team. He's a professional trader, but he was actually taught by a member that's already on my team, which is also another professional trader. But regardless of the fact, he got the skill down and he flipped $250 into $10,000 in a single day. And stuff like that, like even for me, you know what I mean. I know I can make my money consistent with Forex, you know what I mean, but I can't flip like that. But at the end of the day, I know he's put in more time than I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But seeing stuff like that tells me where I can get to. You know what I mean? Where I can get to moving along in the future. And knowing the way, you know what I mean? My brother that might have gave me $1,500 or the $2,000, however much it was, $3,000 8 years ago, I can help him make that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I can actually realistically put him on to something where he can sit down and then we can make $3,000 look like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's like kind of the thing about Forex that I love is like, you don't have to be rich coming into forex. You don't have to be middle class coming into forex. You can literally take your job if you get $500 every week or every 2 weeks, and you can put $100 in and study, and you can actually make something with that $100.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only big difference between stock. I'm actually just getting into stock myself as well, because once you start trading, you start meeting other traders pretty much. And then, they also have different things they can offer. So right now, I'm just now getting into stock. Um, but for me, Forex is going to be my long term, because it can affect so many lives. And it puts me in with my network marketing team, whereas I can assist them in doing it. So that's kind of why, Forex is my favorite one. Imagine currency is it really is just currency exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So
Froze. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna text him again. Froze. All right, 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna tell him to log out again.
Oh, sorry for all these technical problems. Something's going on today.
Dang, I bet you his phone died.
Probably.
I'm about to get the green bubble. All right, so what you thinking so far, Kendall? And I'm here. I gotta grab my charger. What you thinking so
You
far?
said what?
I said, what you
Huh?
thinking so far?
Nah, he's definitely an individual that like Brandon said, he showed a lot of perseverance. Um, he showed a lot of eagerness to get better, to learn. He showed that you know, he had the faith, rather than fear of, a lot of people are scared to make choices and decisions because they don't want to fail. But
Mm-hmm.
with him, he just made a decision because he knew he believed in himself. He believed in what the things he was doing. So it's definitely good to hear that story because it's not like he's always winning. He talked about multiple losses and having to change careers and moving while still trying to support a family. He didn't mention what is he up to, 3 or 4 kids
For
by
what?
now?
I
Kids.
think it's four. I think it's four.
Yeah, yeah. So he still has a growing family. So for him to you know navigate through different you know careers and ventures already, and he's like 30, 31. That's brilliant because it shows people that like like if you really want to learn and get better at something and you believe in yourself, then you can go jump on it and get it. And it don't really matter, um, if other people believe in you because he obviously he has financial goals and he wants to create a legacy because from the first thing he said is he didn't have a father in his life. One of the first things he said, and that reminded me of when we had our daddy issue live session. That if you don't realize that things bother you, it's going to haunt you. It's going to create trauma bonds and to certain things. And he realized when he was in school playing basketball, he was like, "Yo, like this doesn't feel right for me morally. I don't want to have that same cycle." So he chose his family first, and that was really admirable. To see him do, and he's actually broke that cycle of what happened with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's being um, a good father and a good man. So and to see someone that comes from where we're from, it's definitely good to see that. It just shows people that shoot, like it don't really matter what you want to do, but if you attack it and are willing to learn and go through the process, I think a lot of people now, especially with technology, and we all fall victim to it sometimes, of wanting that instant gratification. And when you want instant gratification, and that's not really going to give you much pleasure in the long term. So him choosing to make decisions based on his long term rather than instant gratification has really led to success. And he's
Mm-hmm.
back. So let's
Mm-hmm.
get to it.
Yeah.
You died?
So
Your phone died
guys,
on us?
yeah, it did.
Yeah, I saw the green bubble.
I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
It's all
that's that
good.
green. Oh, that green
Um,
bubble is gross.
KG was saying that you definitely have displayed a lot of perseverance throughout your life. You feel me? But I wanna hold on that for 1 second. So just as we've been talking, we definitely gonna use this when we work with our kids, especially
Hmm.
our high school kids and when we get to college. So um with the coronavirus and everything that's coming now, I think the picture has shown how important it is for you to have your own, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody says that, obviously, but few people tell you how. So just imagine you're talking to an 11th grader, give them a basic overview of a foreign exchange trade. Like, how does that look?
Okay. So when you're looking at Forex, you gotta really, really try to simplify it. Imagine that you were going to Europe, and in Europe they use euros instead of the US dollar. So in Europe, you're just simply going to exchange, this is not the actual number, but let's say one US dollar for 2 euros. And that's literally all foreign exchange trading is you deciding on the price that the dollar should be exchanged at. If you think that at the time, the market follows a pattern, if you feel like that price is too high, like 2 euros is too much to exchange for a dollar, the dollar is worth more money than that,
Mm-hmm.
then on your chart, you would literally mark it up. You would see the charts follow patterns. So you go up, down, up, down, up, down. So if you see like maybe 5 times the euro thought the price was worth $2, but the bank said no, that's too high. So at that point, your job is simply to press the sell button. Bank says it's too high, I'm gonna sell it. So whatever way you're gonna sell it, you're gonna make money going in that direction. Now, every so often, you'll be wrong, right? Because sometimes markets make new patterns. So every so often, you'll be wrong. So what your job is to do is to protect your money. So in forex trading, you want to just make sure that you have bigger wins than you have losses. That's what you were talking about with the pips before. So going in, let's say you want to make 100 pips, right? And you know it's a possibility that you could lose as well. So if you're looking to make 100, maybe you risk 20 pips of your money, and let's put it on dollars. Maybe you're looking to make $100. Maybe you only risk $20, and you're like, can I risk $20 and make 100? And absolutely, you can risk $20 and make $100. You just have to be patient and wait for it to go in the right spots. Where you see already in the past, they always say, look to your left, right? You see in the past, this situation happened already. So the best thing for you to do is just to follow it in the same way that it happened in the past. Don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you know the market better than the bank does, because you never know the market better than the bank does, because the bank's job is to take your money.
Mm-hmm.
So you just want to kind of flow with the bank. The bank said this is what's going on, so I'm saying this is what's going on too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's pretty much as simple as you can do it. Follow the patterns of the market, because it's not like stocks where stocks can start at $1 and go to $1 million. It's not like that. Like if a currency crashes or whatever, if a currency gets too high or too low, that means an entire economy is crashing. That means an entire economy is going into a recession. So with currencies, and you'll be able to follow it, like you'll see the news. If somebody's going into a recession, it'll be on the business channel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You'll be able to see it. If the interest rates are going to change, you'll see it on the business channel. You see the first thing that they'll put up. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll already know. So if the interest rates are going to improve or get higher, you know that the economy is going to get stronger. So let's say the United States interest rates go up 2 points tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know that our economy is going to get stronger. So based on that, every pair that's going against the United States you want to sell because I know the interest rates go up, the dollar value goes up, and the economy gets better. So you just simply want to say, okay, if you look at it, you'll see pairs like GBP USD or EUR USD, right? So I'm simply pressing this button in favor of the United States. And I'm not risking too much money where it's going to be a huge loss if I'm wrong. Because sometimes the markets take time to react. You
Mm-hmm.
just want to risk a little bit of money. Because once you risk a little bit of money over and over and over and over, eventually a lot starts coming back. That's the point. Like, don't go in there thinking like, oh, I need to make a million bucks today, because I guarantee if you make 500 today, tomorrow, next day, end of the week, you have $2,500 you never had before. You know what I mean? And you don't have to leave your house to get that. You can do it on your cell phone. You don't have to put extra money in the market to get that. It's just simply taking your time. The biggest problem with Forex, and every Forex trader would tell you, the biggest problem with Forex is people see so much money could be made. They think they can get it all immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just, stabbing at it, maybe I get $10 trade, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. And eventually, it gets to the point where you can get a couple hundred per one. I got people that, I look up to that get 6, 8, 9, $10,000 in, 4 hours a day. So, and they're just like us. You know what I mean? When you see them, they're just like us. They've been introduced to Forex within the past few years. Most of them got serious with it about 2 years ago. But, they got into the point where they always tell you, like, money isn't real. This is just numbers.
Mm-hmm.
This is numbers, and you're playing a game. And obviously, when you come to play a game, you want to come in with strategy. Like, you're not just coming out here running all over the place, right? You're not gonna play football and just run all over the place. It's the same type deal. The game is with you and your money. Like, how are you and your money going to attack this market to get more?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that's
Appreciate
much it.
that. Um, and the more I hear about it, yo, like I can't wait. I'm gonna get there real soon. But I'm a math teacher. I'm extremely organized. Numbers, like this got my name written all over it. You know.
You do a
Um,
lot better than most people.
yeah, I would like to believe so.
Yeah.
But we in a recession now, so this is a rhetorical question for you. But does that mean that you can't make money now? Does that mean everything is bad?
No, not at all. At first, the recession hit out because I was so focused on trucking, and the recession told me, go get some online money. Like, don't focus on this right now. Use your brain, because at first I'm chucking away, like trying to do the same thing over and over. It's not happening. The country's going down, the businesses are closing, and you think you make more phone calls than the business is going to open for you. It's not the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, the key to it right now is online money. It,
Mm-hmm.
Everything is online. The trading is online. The marketing is online. YouTube, you got 7-year-old millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is really going away. I got a girl on my team. She got contracts with Airbnb. She makes a ton of money trading, but she has contracts with Airbnb. Before she even touched trading, she sold me a $7 million contract that she had with Airbnb
Mm-hmm.
from writing. It was basically like a customer convenience board that she made up.
Okay.
And because she did something that simple, other people wanted to use it that use Airbnb. So Airbnb had to write her a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So something that simple, just working in the right places, can be a huge difference. But right now, I would definitely say 100% the online game. The younger generation seems to have it much better than we do. As far as coming up, they just need to worry about monetizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that they do online, YouTube is going crazy right now. TikTok, everything, they need to worry about monetizing it.
Mm-hmm.
They will have it so much better than we had it, trying to figure out, is this thing really real? Because now we know it is. You know what I mean? So just really try to monetize everything you do online, and just remember at all times, everything that you put online, it has to match up with your brand, right? That's why on Facebook, I'm so much different than I am on Instagram. Because on Facebook, I could be a social justice warrior. On Instagram, I use Instagram. When I think about my Instagram, I'm like, what's going to sell?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But on Facebook, I'm like, these are my people. I don't care. You know what I mean? So it's just knowing your audience on each one. Uh, but most importantly, get online money.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I will say this: a recession is actually when the most people get
Become a
rich
million. Mm-hmm.
because everything at Gucci has Costco and Sam's prices. You feel me? So if you
Mm-hmm.
were prepared, then you could come in and capitalize on a recession. Now, if you're not at
Absolutely.
that point in your life yet, like you're a little kid or you just had some things that you can't control, yeah. I think a lot of people now are realizing like, yo, I gotta find a way to create my own. So one thing I've learned now, and I'm just a cash flow guy. I'm not into the long term whole thing yet
Me
because I
neither.
plans for my cash flow to set me up for some long term positions and start taking that back and making a long term move. It's like something called amortization, like
Yeah.
creating debt and then getting cash flow to pay off that debt and continuing to go. Like I learned that money is all about debt and taxes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm focusing on in the stock market now, every stock at some point go like this and go up and down. There meets a point of resistance at the top and a point of support at the
Yep.
bottom. So hypothetically, let's say Kobe's best game was 81, right? Well, no, let's go by season average, 32 a game or something, right? So
Right.
he probably not gonna go over that. So that's going to be his resistance. His lowest was probably what like 11 or 12 or something rookie year, whatever that
Yeah.
was.
Something like that.
Probably not going to have a season below that. So as you learn to look at the numbers and you learn to get the right data, you can focus in on the right stocks, right? And like what I'm focusing on, I just started actually doing that. I spent a lot of time practicing. I'll look up like earnings reports. I chill off the Twitter sources and all those other kind of things. I try
Yeah.
to go to official so I don't get caught up in the mix, right? And you can tell from the earnings, from their earnings per share, whether it went up or down, and their revenues from their quarterly reports. And what I'm focusing on, if both of those beat, I'm gonna beat the expectations. I'm gonna invest. I'm gonna watch whether it goes up or down. If it goes up, I'm gonna sell it like 4 or 5%, take that win, and try to repeat. If it goes down, I'm gonna let it go down a little bit. I'm gonna buy it again, so my average cost goes down.
Right.
And then when it goes up, you feel me? Once you hit your percentage, they say 7 to 12 is like what you should expect, a good return. But I'm trying to get that quick five, right? So just the other day when I just started doing it, like my first time actually putting into work outside of paper trading, I made like $200 in like 10 minutes. You feel me? Small victory, but if you could just do that every day and every day,
Man,
you're gonna,
listen.
you feel me?
$200 in 10 minutes. That's a big victory, bro.
It's big. You feel me? And I also got capital I've been saving, you feel me, that I've yet to put in there. So I'm just trying to multiply my numbers, like when I put in real investments, what it could be like. But I just want people to understand that just because it's a recession doesn't mean you can't make money. You
Right.
feel me?
Absolutely.
So now to close it out, KG actually said this when you was getting your phone together. He said that he noticed from a distance too, like you're really big on being a father. He learned tonight that you didn't really have your father in your life, and you're doing a lot of things now that will set you up for later. You feel me? So you're working on leaving a legacy.
Right.
You feel me? And I noticed that you name all of your companies your name. You feel me? So check this out: McDonald's, Abercrombie and Fitch, Armani, Baskin Robbins, Chrysler, Fisher Price, Gucci, Hennessy, Harley Davidson, Hilton, Honda, Kohl's, Fast Foods, Lowe's Movie Theaters, Marriott, Maybach, um, Nordstrom, Pillsbury, Porsche, Procter& and Gamble, Rolls and Royce, Turner, Versace, Wells
Jeez.
Fargo, Walgreens, Welch's. Those are all last names. So when people
Mm,
think they're buying a brand such as these, they are really buying a person. So those
Yeah.
people
mm.
have left a legacy. You feel me? So I just want to commend you for all the work that you've done and continuing to turn your pain into champagne and continuing to go no matter what has happened to you. And
I'm gonna
I
steal
He
love
love that line,
that.
bro. He love that line, bro.
it's,
Every
it's
time he
gonna be on
say
the
it,
internet tonight.
he giggle.
you feel me? Um, But you a dope example. You're working on leaving your legacy. I appreciate you, but I know you already know this, but it helps me when people tell me this because nobody tells me this besides myself. But don't stop, bro. You feel me? Like don't stop. I see clearly you got the right why. I would assume that's your kids and your wife or whatever it may be, but clearly you're strong. But don't stop. And I appreciate the fact that you understand that it's not about you. Like you ain't say nothing about you for real tonight at all. You besides what you've done, but you always say that your motivation has been other people. I want to help
Yeah,
other people get on. I want people to learn from my experience. You feel me? I'd rather them have them learn through me instead of them having to go through it themselves. You
it's
feel me?
facts.
In closing, continue to build your legacy, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate y'all for having me. I mean, y'all know
Yes,
I
sir.
respect y'all immensely, so appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually gotta do another call in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm doing a trading call. They keep calling my phone. TT over here sending signs like Jay's calling you. Uh,
I'm dead.
Hey, I'm gonna be
I'm
calling you
dead.
too for that. You feel me?
so man, listen, I'm here.
And last thing, I don't know if you know, but I just got certified as a speaker by ET, Eric
Mm,
Thomas. Right, I
yeah,
went to courses, I had to go speak and all that kind of stuff.
the
Like
goat.
we had calls and homework and all that kind of stuff. And there's a dude, he's a black dude. He started trucking, like didn't know nothing about it. He failed horribly, but then he went back into it, and now he's like one of the biggest truckers in the country.
It's
And he
Alex.
a black dude, and he got a trucking school.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So you know who he is. He spoke to us, and I was looking for him. I was like, once you send me the trucking stuff, I said, let me tell him about him. So you already know. You feel me?
Yeah,
He hip. Yeah,
So real.
I'm
he
on it.
on it.
trying to repeat.
All right, we gonna talk offline, but we're working on making some online courses.
All
You
right,
feel me?
yeah, bro. I'm telling you, same thing
Yeah,
I was
we on
doing.
that.
So yeah, just hit me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more. All right,
All
appreciate you,
All
bro.
right, John.
right, y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.